Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are starting our fourth masterclass on behalf of Wines of Portugal. Thank you very much for instigating and supporting these masterclasses. By the time we finish today, we will have over 6,000 views on IGTV, which is amazing. If I had to do, usually my masterclasses are 40 people. So if I have to do this, it will be equivalent of 150 masterclasses. It will be a lot of work. So this is at least is one small positive outcome of this, what we live in today. Not as much fun, obviously, but this is the best we can do for the moment. So thank you very much, Wines of Portugal. And today we are going to be talking about Alvarinho. We're going to explore the past, the present, the future of Alvarinho. I want to talk about terroir. I want to talk about climate and soil specifically, how it behaves in the vineyard, in the winery, and how to manage, what are best practice, and also how to enjoy. And I'm going to be joined by Francisco Batista, who's just here, and we're going to invite him to you in a minute. Just waiting for him to. There you are.
Hello, Francisco. How are you doing? Hello, everyone.
Hello, Francisco. Welcome. It's a great pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure too to be here.
We are starting our fourth masterclass, and today we're talking about Alvarinho. And I want to introduce Francisco briefly. He has a degree of food engineering. He took his degree in 1994, followed by a degree in enology in 1999. And he works in many companies in Portugal, including some pretty well known like Stogra. And he has he's a founding member of Lua Cheia. It produces wine not only in Douro, but also in Vinho Verde, Alentejo, and down. So we are in very, very good hands. Welcome. Oh, he froze. There you are. Just saying welcome, Francisco.
Okay. I don't listen because I don't. The wireless or the net is going down. But
okay,
it's my pleasure to be here.
No problem. Francisco, I want you to start just giving. Can you give us a brief historical perspective of Alvarinho in Portugal?
Maybe start the grape in the 12th century by the monastery of Cluny.
Mm-hmm.
He came from in the northeast of the Portugal. It started to grow there.
Okay, that's the origin, because there are some people say it came from Germany, but that's been disproved.
I think it's not true. It's not true.
I agree. That is not true. It's been disproven. Also, there is people say that its origin is actually from northwest Spain, where it used to grow up on trees, after trees and stuff. But in the first mention, maybe you have something else, but the first mention that I have Alvarinho in relation to Portugal, and especially Monsanto Malgaço, is from 1790.
But I have some. I make a study, and I find in the 12th century we can find the history of the grape in the region.
Okay, excellent. Tell me something. You know when was the first varietal Alvarinho grown or labeled as Alvarinho?
Sorry, I don't listen.
When was the first wine labeled as Alvarinho? Do you know when it came to the market?
I don't know. What is the first Alvarinho? Perhaps maybe from Adega Cooperativa de Monsanto. Perhaps.
Okay. If anyone who's watching knows the answer, help us out. I think that my research is something from Casa de Rodas. I don't know if it rings the bell, from the 1920s. I don't know if it rings the bell with you. But it really began to be appreciated in the 1950s and 1960s. So it's an old variety, and it's a great variety. It has great potential. And my second question to you is, how would you assess the credentials of Alvarinho? Where is he in terms of quality in comparison to the other white Portuguese varieties?
I think he's one of our top varieties, white varieties from Portugal. We have maybe 10 great varieties, white varieties in Portugal. And I put the Alvarinho in the three best of white grapes in Portugal.
Okay, top three, excellent. Yes, it is emblematic from the north of Portugal. It's associated most closely to Monsanto and Melgaço. I think it's fair to say, if we're going to compare and talk about widely, I think Monsanto and Melgaço is to bring a value what Curiac is to Bordeaux. It's like the center, it's the heart of what the variety, what the region really is. It's very closely associated with this region. A question for you is, and it's a little bit of a naughty question, this one, I must admit. Very soon, Vinho Verde will be able to put Alvarinho DOC on the label. At the moment, it's only Alvarinho Vinhos Regionais. Okay. And my question is, do you think in the future it would be a good idea for Monsanto and Melgaço, which is very closely associated with this region, to get separated from Vinhos Verdes? Will it make it stronger? Will it make it weaker? What's your opinion?
It's a naughty question. But I have an idea. I think I think it's probably the future. Probably is the future for the Alvarinho variety in Monsanto Melgaço. Probably. I think it's a special terroir from the grape. It needs to be to protect, because this is not only the grape, it's the terroir, it's the people, it's the economic from the region, from the every producers, every people there live. It's a small parcels of mine. They need to have protection from us, from the producers, from the cooperative, from the CBRVV. It's very important for the region. I have ideas like I live in the Douro Valley. I don't live in the Monsanto Melgaço. I'm from a Bairrada region, but I live in Douro. I have idea. I think it's being a part of the CRBB, but in a demarcated region with a potential like Porto and Doc Douro. Is my idea of Alvarinho for the region.
Okay, so you'll take a place of pride within the region. Okay. I understood. Let's move to talking about climate a little bit. I've seen people joining from all over the place. I just saw a friend of mine from Canada. So last week we had people from Poland, from India, from all over the place. Moscow also. Thank you. Someone joined us, but we just have somebody from Canada. So you guys are all welcome. Across the world, Alvarinho performs well in maritime climates. In Portugal, I think some of the best places, as we just discussed, is protected area of Monsanto and Melgaço. Can you assess the performance of Alvarinho in different climates, like cooler climate and warmer climate, and how does the grape behave? What's the outcome in terms of the wine?
Alvarinho need to protect they need a night's cold and protect from the winds, but need some heat, some sun to ripeness the grape. They need it. It's very important, because the most important in Alvarinho is the acidity. That is very important from the wine. It's very important, but it is warm days and cold nights. It's very important. This is why Monsanto Melgaço is protected from the mountains, from the winds, from the maritime, from the Atlantic Ocean, but It's very warm in the day, but at night we have a lot of amplitude thermic, and the nights are very cold.
So will it be fair for me to say that obviously cooler climate, higher acidity, less alcohol obviously, but more delicate, more delicate citrus fruit flavors, as opposed to warmer climate, obviously stone
Yes.
fruits, riper, more depth, more weight, more alcohol.
More alcohol, more ripeness, of course.
Good. Thank you. I've seen people joining from US now, so you guys are welcome. You can. I've missed. If you know anyone post any questions so far, can you just post it again, because I wasn't. I was focusing on Francisco. I wasn't looking at the screen. But now, if you post, I'll be looking. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask a question about soil. So we talk about climate, how it behaves. Now, how does the Alvarinho behaves in different soils? Can you help us with that?
In Monção Melgaço, we have majority soils is from granite, the origin is granite.
How does it behave in granite? There is some sand there. There is some there is some gravel there. Yes. So how does Alvarinho behaves in different types of soils?
Alvarinho needs poor soils like granite. Is an acid soil, low in the phosphorus, magnesium, but it's very high in potassium. It's very high. The level of potassium is very high, and the acidity of the soil is very low. The pH is very low, about 4 and 5, probably.
But is it fair to say, for example, last time I was in the region, people say that in sandy soils, Alvarinho is more fruit forward. It shows good acidity, and in alluvial soil near the river, you got a little bit more body and some floral notes, some delicate flowery notes, and then I think it seems to prefer, as you said, seems to prefer more granitic soils, and again, it's a little bit more austerity. Is that true?
It's true. It's true because near of the river, the Minho River, we have alluvium. But in the down of the soil, in the substrate of the soil is granite too, because the roots going down and they put the roots there and take the minerality for there. This is the difference from these soils.
Okay, there's a question here from Winetastics. It must be Sergio. Hello, Sergio. Welcome, and thank you for a good question, a brilliant question. How do you see regions? I've received some questions before from Brazil. We'll talk to them about them in a second. But this question is specifically about outside Iberian Peninsula. Do you see regions outside Portugal and Spain performing well and promising great Alvarinhos?
Yes, we have in Uruguay, we have in the United States, we have in Australia, South Africa. I taste some Alvarinhos from there. They are different. It's like, I think Alvarinho is an international grape, like Chardonnay. And they represent different personalities from that soils, but make great white wines too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did a tasting of Alvarinhos in Rias Baixas, blind tasting. I conducted tasting with 100 wine producers, and it was fun to do because I've added wines from Portugal, obviously, but also from different areas. There are some amazing wines from Etna Valley in US, California. There is somebody mentioned Garzon in Uruguay. There are more people. A lot of people are planting Alvarinho in Uruguay. Boza is another producer. Villa Maria, there's a good example in New Zealand. There's a lot of good South Africa. Obviously, don't forget Bordeaux now is allowed to plant Alvarinho. I have not tasted, but they are allowed to plant. So we'll see what Bordeaux can do with Alvarinho. I think that's about What else? If anyone can remember any other
I think,
country.
sorry, Dirceu,
Chile and Argentina also they have.
it's very
And
plastic variety. It's very
yeah,
plastic.
it's very diverse. Honestly, one of the best white wines from Brazil that I have ever tasted, white wine, it was an Alvarinho. It was made in the high altitudes of Santa Catarina. I know Anselmo Mendes was involved with it. I don't know what happened to the wine because when I tasted from the barrel. But the wine was amazing. So there is potential even in Brazil, Chile, Argentina. But we're talking about Portugal. And in Portugal, we talk about Vinho Verde. We talk about specifically about Monção and Melgaço. But is there any other region of Vinhos Verdes of that area making good Alvarinho?
I taste some wines from Tejo.
No. I want to go to out. I'm talking about specifically about Vinhos Verdes. I think this was a question from from Brazil.
I know some grapes from Basto region. It's a sub-region of Vinhos Verdes. And the variety is very, very nice there. Is make good things there.
Yeah. So the answer is Bastos. Look out for Bastos, Agilson.
Bastos is nice because the soil is like the same. It's granite too. The origin is granite. It's protected from different mountains, of course. It's from Alvão and the other things. It's more continental weather. We have a very rich in the humidity and make different Alvarinhos with different personality, but good Alvarinhos. Not Monção Melgaço, of course.
How would you compare that with Monção Melgaço? More weight, less weight, more mineral?
More weight, a little more weight, less acidity, and I don't know how with this wine's aging because I don't know. I know only young, not with the old wines.
Yeah, this is one thing we're going to talk about is Alvarinho and aging, which is a phenomenal topic for me. I love that topic. And there's a question here by the big master, Mr. Luis Lopez, about altitude. I want to cover that also in a minute. Thank you, Luis, for the question. We talk about different soils. What is the ideal terroir for Alvarinho, in your opinion?
I think in the future, I think in the middle of Monção, between Monção and Melgaço, I think is the best terroir from Alvarinho. Because we have protection from the Atlantic, is freshness. We have the weather is more moderate, and Melgaço is more continental weather, is more warm. I think in the future, with this changing climate changes, in the middle of the two villages, I think is the best terroir from there. The soil is fantastic. I think it's good ripeness, and I think the wines is more character from the region. In the middle is everything.
Thanks for the answer. And you were talking earlier and about Tejo. Now my question is about that. Is what is a new terroir for Alvarinho? Outside Vinhos Verdes, but within Portugal. You mentioned Tejo. What else is there?
We have in Douro. We have the variety there in Douro. I think the variety needs more freshness. Douro is very high. Probably in Douro, in the high altitude from mountains, is probably have a good historic, good for the Alvarinho. But I prefer going more Atlantic method with the more freshness from Atlantic. And they have protection from the mountain, a little mountains, and they have this weather and this climate very protected. It's very important for Alvarinho.
So, as an introduction, it's more of a maritime variety. So I know that Alvarinho, you mentioned Douro, but also there is Alvarinho, obviously in Lisbon, We're going to taste one in a minute. There is Alvarinho in Setúbal that I know of. There's Alvarinho in Alentejo, especially near the coastal part of Alentejo.
Yeah.
And I think someone mentioned earlier, I don't know, it was a question, it wasn't a mention, about down, the granitic soils of down. Do you think Alvarinho would work there? Well, that's a terroir for Cruzado, surely.
Yes, this is my opinion. They have a great variety there. It's fantastic. It's in Cruzado. I think it's not necessary to have an Alvarinho there because they have a great variety from Portugal. This is in Cruzado and Bical. It came from there, and they don't need it. Why they don't plant the Alvarinho in the down if they have a great variety?
Great one. Sure. Now I'm gonna use this question from Luis Lopez, which is a great question. I have a mind very similar to Luis, so I had more or less thought about the question, but his question is better than mine. So I'm gonna use this one. How does altitude, you're talking about 350 to 500 meters, influence the character of Monção and Melgaço wines?
Yes, in Hades, they make the studies from Alvarinho. They only in the law is only 200.5 meters they can plant Alvarinho. Now with this changing climate, I think you can have 500 meters, 400 meters. I think it's very important. More freshness at night, more winds, and I make much acidity in the wines. More aromatic.
So more freshness. Francisco, I was talking to a producer, I think it was late last year. He said there was they were planting vineyards at much higher than what Luis is saying. We're talking about 1,000 meters. Have you heard of this in the area?
In the region, yes. Aveleda, he started to plant it in Arcos Valdez, near of Arcos Valdez, at altitude. It's about 500 or 600 meters.
No, I'm talking about 1,000 meters. Have you heard of that?
I know, it's only Montalegre. It's in the northeast of Portugal. It's in the Montalegre region.
Okay, and that's from
The producer is Francisco Gonçalves, the producer.
Okay. No, I just thought maybe, I think I was talking to someone from Soalheiro, and I'm not sure if they planted or someone else planted, and very, very high up. It's almost like experimental because it's quite, it will be a very challenging to write Alvarinho 1,000 meters, but we're talking about global warming, so it could work in the future. Well, Alvarinho, for people who don't know, and you can correct me, Francisco. What I know is it's a medium-sized, very thick skin, soft but very thick skin, so it's quite resistant to disease. It's got greenish yellow color, but it tends to give a little bit of a pink hue if it's exposed to
the sun.
Small bunches usually. Quite not very heavy, 70 grams, 80 grams, not very heavy, and it can be quite high yielding, 12 tons or even more. But to achieve quality, I think probably best 5 or 6 tons. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, 6,000 tons a hectare is the good average for a premium Alvarinho.
And what is the secret to establish the peaking date for Alvarinho? Because the Sauvignon Blanc is a very short window. Arinto is quite a long. Alvarinho is more or less in the middle. Is that right?
It's in the middle. We have more time to decide from Alvarinho.
And what is the secret? What do you look for?
I look for acidity. The great acidity, not the acidity is the green acidity, but the well balanced acidity, the crispy acidity in the bunch. And pH, of course. It's very important, the pH, less pH to have a great aging Alvarinho. You need a low pH with a great acidity because the central spine of the Alvarinho is the acidity, of course.
And does it require any special care in the vineyard?
We need to have protect the bunch from the sun. It's not very. It's a great grape. Don't need too much treatment. The polymillion, the million is not very important. The botrytis, if you have a great aeration from the sap, though you don't have problems with Alvarinho.
Okay. And what is the best way to manage the canopy?
Green pruning is very important. Green pruning is very important. Keep the bunch from the direct from the sun if you have more aromatic Alvarinho. And the most important for me is have a great cross winds to have too much humidity at night to don't have disease there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in the soil, you need to have corrections with organic material, organic only, because it's very low pH. We have a little of calcareous to balance the soil.
Is it quite a difficult variety to handle? How would you do it? Is it easy?
I think it's one of the easiest varieties to work. Is Alvarinho.
Good. Good to hear that. What's my next question? What about clonal selection? Has that been done? Do you know
Yes.
what the best clones of Alvarinho are?
Yes, they start to make a selection of clones. Is 45 ISA, 46 ISA, 47 ISA. Is a clonal selection. Is made by João Garrido. Is a viticulturist from the region. He started to make this work in the 80s.
Okay. So it started in the 80s, and this work has already been finished, and it's done.
Yeah, it's finished this work.
But in my experience, Francisco, a lot of the work that's been done in the past, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they have been quite, I'm going to say, focused on yield. Is that the case with Alvarinho?
In the hills?
Yeah, high yield. People looking for high yield instead of different things.
Because they want more production. More production. In the you say 80s or 19s? 80s.
Whatever was finished. My question was: was the selection done for quality or for yield?
No,
or for other reasons.
It's for quality because they think Alvarinho is a noble variety. You need to have to be protected from the other grapes from the region, and it start to have more quality, to choose the best clone for quality, and of course, and some parts of the region for production, of course.
So what was the best clone that you mentioned? Was it 47?
I think it's 47. The 47 is the best clone. If you need more production, you use a 44. Easy.
Okay, for more volume. Okay. So in very general terms, talking about, I think probably my last question about viticulture. I might have another one, but in very general terms, what are the most important steps to ensure high quality Alvarinho grapes?
Great soil.
Okay.
Great vine, and choose the target you want. If you have Alvarinho to aging, I think is the best. Or if a young wine with fresh, aromatic, very well balanced, you need to work in the vine to potential the Alvarinho, because everything came from the vine, not from the cellar. If you have a great pruning, a great leaf, very fresh, very aromatic, protected from the sun. But if you want more concentration, you leave more time in the vine. It's low acidity, more alcohol, the bricks, and it's completely the flavors are completely less aromatic, more milky, but with more potential to aging. Like everyone in Portugal, we are guys who like to blending the wines. Normally, in my case, I make the blend of more aromatic and more concentration Alvarinho, because I make half of the vine with more leaves and the other part without leaves. And I pick one earlier and after later. This is my method of working in the vine.
Does that become two different components, or two different components for one wine, or two different wines?
Different wines for different wines. Okay. You need a little. If you want more aromatic, you have a wine in the cellar more aromatic. You pick earlier, and if you want to give more freshness to the plant, you put a little of Alvarinho there for more fresh, with another one more concentrated.
As a component.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like in the Sauvignon Blanc, they make it like that. It's pick earlier and the other ones later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about making wine, talk about viticulture. Let's talk a little bit about winemaking. In the cellar, does it require any special attention? Is that oxidative, or does it need any master adjustment in terms of nutrients, or is it reductive? What are the tricks in the vineyard? In the wine,
only in the cellar.
Yeah, in the cellar.
In the cellar. Depend of the Alvarinho you want to make. If you want Alvarinho young, very aromatic and stainless steel, you pick earlier, more aromatic, and you make a fermentation with a little lower degrees in fermentation, about 17 degrees the fermentation. If you want more concentrate, you a little more high, about 20 degrees of fermentation is very important. Very slow fermentation. Very slow fermentation is about 20 days is the best. Great nutrition is very important. The glutathione and nitrogen compounds is very important. To don't have reductions because the soil is very poor. You need some potential the nitrogen and the nutrition of the yeast. Maybe the natural yeast need to have nitrogen there.
Mm-hmm. So you can adjust, but yeah, I know a lot of people use. It depends on the style of wine, and it's we're not criticize the style. Some people like this type of yeast, but I know a lot of people use Q823 is more thiolic, it gives more exuberance, and some people enjoy that style, and it's great. And people also use that Sauvignon Blanc. I know people have used with great success. If you want a different style to give more depth, more weight, I don't know if you ever heard of a yeast called Cross Evolution.
Yes, I know it.
Have you tried it?
I don't try it, but I taste some wines from it.
I've tried that, and it's if you want more weight and texture, I think it's a very, very good way of using it. But there's different protocols. So is the variety quite reductive?
No,
oxidative?
It's not that reductive. I have the most reductive variety we have in the vineyard region is Loureiro. It's very reductive. But Alvarinho is not very reductive.
So it's not reductive, is it oxidative?
Yes, you need I say Alvarinho like oxygen.
Okay.
If you fermentation in the beds, in stainless steel beds, sometimes we need to put some oxygen there, with micro oxidation or
Uh-huh.
using aeration. They need it.
Okay. There was a question earlier about. We can talk about a question now. Is in your view is Alvarinho suitable? Thank you, Sergio. In your view is Alvarinho suitable to oak aging? Let's talk before that. Is Alvarinho suited to oak fermentation or an oak aging?
I think is the best way to make great Alvarinhos.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
What does tell us a bit more? What does it give to?
Give more body to the wine,
Uh-huh.
more complexity. It's like I say the Alvarinho need oxygen,
Uh-huh.
potential the flavors, to potential and the micro oxidation from fermentation barrels is very important from Alvarinho, and they work very well because the high concentration of the yeast is going to die after the end of fermentation, and this yeast is very important for the batonnage. It's very important to the creamy of the Alvarinho because
Uh-huh.
normally have a high acidity. To balance this acidity, not with the sugar, but with the yeast, with the monoproteins, the proteins, everything's there, and these fermentation barrels give more. Volume is small than in a bed. It's very important to have the oxidation, micro oxidation, not oxidation. Micro oxidation is very important for the wine.
What are you talking about oak? What are we talking about new, old, and what size?
In my opinion, the best
Yeah,
way to produce Alvarinho is to have, use barrels, of course.
larger piles, 400 liters, 500 liters.
400, 500, 300, not Bordeaux style, not 200 liters, no, because it's too much
Uh-huh.
wood from the wine. In my opinion, it's,
Uh-huh.
you need to have large barrels to balance the wine, not to not put the wood smell into the wine. You need more large barrels and use barrels. But every year you need to buy something new because the woods need to increase the parking of the oak in the cellars. It's very important.
Okay, so older oak works best.
Yes,
I'm
for
going
sure.
back a little bit. I remember something. Francisco, once I was talking to, I think I was Anselmo Mendes or someone like, I'm pretty sure it was Anselmo. And he said that Alvarinho is quite low yielding in the winery. By that I mean, when you press, let's say 1,000 kilograms of Alvarinho, you get maybe 600 liters or 650 at most.
Depend of the
And if you
year.
press other white variety, you get more. Is that true?
It's true. It depends of the year. This year, it's about in 1 ton. It's about 500 liters only,
Wow.
because it's
Wow.
because this summer is very dry, like 17, and we have less must, and the concentration of soils is very huge because the bunch is very small. And we have a context like every great variety is the bunch is very small and a lot of skins. It's very important. This is why they use maceration, plical maceration in Alvarinho. This is why
Uh-huh.
you can use with a full bunch in the press. You can. I say it's very plastic. The variety is very plastic.
I see. Okay, listen, it's been great talking to you. We still, I have more questions, but I'm getting thirsty. So I'm going to show you what I have here prepared. Three good Alvarinhos, one from Lisboa and two from Monsanto Melgaço. So let's. The first one is Adega wine. Don't know if you know the wine. It was on your left. Here it is.
I know it's from Adega Mãe. Is Anselmo and Diogo is the winemakers. They make that wine. I know the wine. Yeah, I think it's a great Alvarinho.
Yeah, it's from Vinhos Regional de Lisboa. It's a limestone soils, it slopes, a lot of maritime influence, hand harvested, distilled. There's some skin contact, and after that is very, very gently pressed, cold settled, and it's fermented in stainless steel. There's no oak here at all. Stainless steel for temperature about 15 degrees for about 15 days. And then you can tell on the wine itself, it's got very delicate some citrus fruits, some flowery notes, but it's a lot of sort of fresh dough, bready notes from work on the leaves here. He spends 6 months on the leaves, possibly with some butter knives because it's got nice texture. So it's a very delicate, very elegant style of Alvarinho. It's sold across the world. Obviously, I've got some notes here, but it does really well in the US, in Russia. So Roman, if you're watching, look out for a bottle of Adega wine. So US, Russia, also Brazil, China, Canada, and Belgium, and it's fairly inexpensive. I think the retail price, I'm giving you guys a guide, in Portugal is €8.45. So I think it's a really good example from slightly lighter, more elegant style of Alvarinho. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about Soalheiro. You saw the bottle earlier. Most people would know about Soalheiro. Made by Luis Ferreira. They claim to be the first winery from Monsanto Melgaço. Is that right, Francisco?
Maybe it's true.
Did you hear me?
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Oh, it's true. Okay. It's this one itself is from parcels fairly high up, over 200 meters high, and it's called granite. Obviously, comes from granite
soils.
And there was a question from Agilson, I can see, talking about the aging potential for Alvarinho. And we can talk about this now because what I'm drinking here now, I have a 2019 in my cellar, and I'm not in a hurry. What I've got here now is a 2015. So I can answer the question, but I can complement. Maybe you can answer the question from your standpoint. What do you think in terms of age potential for Alvarinho?
More than 20 years. The great Alvarinhos is the potential from Alvarinhos is more than 20 years. I know some wines from the region with more than 20 years. It's like Riesling. The aging like Alvarinho is like Riesling. It's the same flavors, the petroleum. I think this variety need to aging. The styles are different from the young Alvarinho, from the aging Alvarinhos, completely different. It's like Riesling. If you taste a young Riesling and an old Riesling, it's completely different. I think it's more richness in the Alvarinhos with more aging.
This one is aging absolutely wonderfully. It's I tell you a bit about the winemaking, but it's hand harvested, obviously small boxes, and it's very, very gently pressed, settled for 48 hours, and then it's fermented in stainless steel. There's no, I don't perceive any oak here. If there is, it's very large and very old. I don't see, I think it's all stainless steel. And there's 8 months on the lease with some batonnage, which gives the wine some creaminess. But there is an added creaminess and weight, depth, and it's wonderful. And that's coming from aging. And I agree with you, Francisco. I've tasted some wines that are 15 years old plus, and it was they age exceptionally well. And I mentioned to you earlier the tasting which I did in Spain in Ria Baixas, and the best wine that I tasted there, I took it myself. It was a Portuguese Alvarinho with a lot of age, and the Spanish people they were really saying, "Wow, this is amazing!" And so it ages beautifully. That's
I think
sure.
I think one of the problems we have with Alvarinho in Portugal to the international is that we don't have too much years to produce Alvarinhos. We sell everything and don't aging in our cellars great Alvarinhos and launch the Alvarinho after 5 years, 6 years, like the greatest white wines in the world. I think this
I
is
agree. I agree.
but it's very expensive, economically expensive for the producer to make stock in the cellars with Alvarinhos.
I agree. I had the price. This is 18. This is it's sold in a lot of this market. The market this wine. Thank you to Sophia. I'm sounding very clever, like I know everything, but all this information Sophia sends to me. Sophia Salvador from Wines of Portugal. So I sound clever, but she does all the work. But it's between 18 and 20 euros, and it's sold in UK. It's a great importer called Raymond and Reynolds. It's probably one of the best for Portuguese wines. I'm not advertising, but you can find this wine there. Sweden does very well in Sweden also, and in US. But it's only 18 euros, 18, 20 euros. You don't find that in Burgundy. And this wine is amazing. I think it's aging beautifully. And if I had, I only have one more bottle in my cellar, but I don't want to hurry to open that one. A good question from Luis Lopez. I haven't talked of that one. How does the Alvarinho grape behave in organic viticulture in Monsanto and Melgaço?
With organic viticulture?
Yeah.
I think it's the future.
Wow, okay.
I think it's the future because it's, like I say, it's very plastic. Don't need too much treatments in the vine. I think in the future, organic wines in Alvarinho have a great potential because Alvarinho is different from different white grapes. Don't need to have too much careful in the cellar. If you have a little more oxidation, not the bad oxidation, the good oxidation, you don't have a low pH, high acidity. We are natural protected from the nature. You don't need too much sulfur. You don't need anything. You need to be careful only in the vine to protect the vine. If you can good grapes from the vine, you don't have problems with the aging of Alvarinho with organic Alvarinhos.
But is it easy to do that in such a humid climate?
Because Monção Melgaço is not too much humidity. It's only 100 and 1,200 milliliters of water. But it's only in the pre-temps, not in the summer. The summer is very dry. When the grapes are ripeness, where the bunch is growing, don't have too much humidity. I think it's not a problem in the region. More a problem in the other parts of the Vinho Verde region, not in Monção Melgaço.
Excellent. Francisco, I didn't think about it's a great question here. What about a sparkling wine from Alvarinho? What's your opinion? Are there any good ones? If so, which are they?
It's like the first question. It's very naughty. I'm from Bairrada region. I think Monção Melgaço is a great terroir from Alvarinho. And I give my opinion. I don't put my Alvarinhos in sparkling wines but I know some great sparkling wines from Alvarinho variety. I know some Couto Manuel, Anselmo. Every producer in the region produce sparkling wines, but you need to make a great sparkling wine. You need to have low alcohol, high acidity. But with Alvarinho, if you have 10 degrees of alcohol, you have more than 10 potential acidity, and it's very yes, it's true. It's very high. To balance this acidity with the second fermentation, you need to balance the acidity with sugar. You don't have brut nature, total brut nature. And I don't like sparklings with a low, highest level of sugar. And I think it's not my opinion. You need to produce great Alvarinhos with aging in the cellars, not to produce sparklings with Alvarinho. This is my opinion, of course.
Good. So there was a bit of a naughty question, which is what we like. You talk about Loureiro earlier and stuff. Very briefly, what is in a blend as a component? What does Alvarinho brings to a blend?
Is the king of the blending. After 2 months of the blending, you can only see the Alvarinho. It dominates the other grapes. In the beginning, if you make a blend of Loureiro and Alvarinho, you can find the Loureiro. After 2 months in the bottle, the Alvarinho increases up to the Loureiro and kill the Loureiro and give a body to the blending. The richness of the blending you have the floral notes from Loureiro, but you have the fruit from Alvarinho, the complexity of Alvarinho. It makes a great blend.
Very good. Let's do something interesting now. Let's talk about your wine. Which I'm gonna kick off. Okay, I've got 3 wines in front of me, and they're all really good wines, and they're all very different wines. There is no better or worse. It's just about, for me, it's about style. Okay, and if I'm sitting in my garden, I'm dreaming now, but if I'm sitting in my garden in the summer, I think a Dega wine is fresh and it's light and elegant. Your wine today it's got depth, it's richness. It's a more of Alvarinho, either for food or for cooler months, as I'm talking to you from England. So it's tasting particularly well today. So tell us about
this. I think you're tasting Nostalgia barrel, 10 barrels, 2015. I think yes, it's 2015. It's more a wine for food, not for. I think it's more richness, Alvarinho. You need a cheese, you need a lamb, you need something to drink this wine. It's have more potential. If you want more, something more, the last wine you taste, I know the wine is more aromatic, more fresh than this one. It's a completely different style, different Alvarinho, completely different Alvarinho, different style.
I think I can look. You say it's more for food. I can see that this going very well with food. But I am sitting here in England. It's, I don't know, 5 degrees outside. I could drink a oak Bordeaux or Burgundy. I could easily drink this, no problem.
But this is more richness. Portugal is more hot than in England, of course. In the summer, you need a very soft, very aromatic wine. It's complexity one, and you drink, and you don't have anything. This one you need to be careful because have a great smells. You need to to speak with wine and see the completely. It's a different style. I think it's completely different style.
I think it's richer. It's got lovely ripe yellow fruits. It's got a lot of work. You must have done some work on the oak, but it doesn't show at all. It gives depth to the wine. Also, there's some work on the leaves, give lovely biscuity notes, and different layers. And the acidity here is wonderful. The alcohol is beautifully in harmony. It's 13%. I couldn't tell if it was low or high. It's really very well put together. Can you tell us? It's called 10 barricas or
10 barrels. 10 barrels.
Tell us about it. Yeah.
This wine came from a special vine we have. It's Carvalheira. It's in Melgaço. It's about 200 meters altitude. It's very windy. And I make this wine with pellicle maceration. After that, I press. It's about 12 hours of maceration. I press, I put in the barrels. I use barrels because I have a cellar in Douro. And it's much, and we have grapes here to have the new wood because I make a huge planting here. I use 2 years here. After that, I bring these barrels to Alvarinho because I don't like too much wood from new wood. And after that, fermentation. The fermentation came from Alvarinho. Always.
Very good. No, it's tasting amazing today. Thank you very much for this. Where is it sold, Francisco? Is it mostly in Portugal, or does it get exported?
It's exported. I sell to Canada, to Sweden, Luxembourg, China, Japan, South of Korea, and Brazil.
Okay. Very good. I'm enjoying it. People who know Alvarinho enjoy it. What does Alvarinho needs to do to have even more recognition internationally? You think?
Like Dirceu say, we need more aging wines for the customers and you, experts, master of wines, journalists, know that Alvarinho is going to aging. You can buy Alvarinho, you can put in your cellar 10 or 12 years, and I have a great white wine here. I think it's very important to us, producers, to have more character in our wines. Believe that this one's going aging very well, because if you introduce a wine with 10 years from Alvarinho and people enjoy it, I think it's the future, because people need to know that I go to my cellar and have 10 years or 15 Alvarinho in the cellar. It's a fantastic white wine. Let's go taste it. If you make that with our government protect us, I think this grape is going to be a huge increase in the market in the future.
Good stuff. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, Francisco. I think I've learned a lot. I think just to find out, we talk about aging. What about food? We still have about 30 seconds. Let's talk about. I think it goes with a lot of things. It goes with seafood, with oily fish, with grilled fish, with roasted, with chicken, with duck, even with lamb. Do you agree?
Yes, we have a tradition in Monção Melgaço. A special dish they have is lamb. They call lamb. Have a difficult name. Is fora Monção. Is lamb with rice, and they drink with eating with and drinking Alvarinho. and
Francisco,
with cheese.
I don't want to lose this life. Thank you very, very much. It's been amazing, really amazing talking to you.
It's my pleasure.
Great pleasure.
My pleasure.